Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you here. It's a beautiful day here, Thursday, August 29th. Today, we've got an excellent webinar for you on leveraging Genesys Gamification for improved agent and customer experiences. And as a reminder, mark it on your calendars, September 19th, Mitel My Voice Connect End of Life, talking about strategic approaches for an effective migration as the Mitel product comes up on the last of its legs here. Beyond that, we got September 26th from setup to success, turning on phone for Microsoft Teams. So mark those on your calendar, and we'll look forward to seeing you there as well. I want to jump in a bit. So today, I'm Stanton Smith with InflowCX. I'm VP of our CX technology consulting team, as well as customer success here at Inflow. And with me, I've got Seth, who's our lead project engineer on the technical account team and training. And he'll be digging into this and really getting into the meat and potatoes of the Genesys Gamification product. From an agenda point of view, high level, just want to talk through with you of who is Inflow. And then we're going to talk about, hand the time over to Seth, hand it up for some Q&A. And of course, as always, make sure you've got the right information to be able to contact us for our next steps. So let me give you a little bit of background on Inflow. We are a services and consulting company specifically focused around customer experience technologies. We help organizations evaluate, deploy, and optimize their customer engagement technology and strategy. We've got a little over 200 employees now, 2,500 customers that we support. We do consulting, implementations, and support of various cloud products. We've done over 500 installs, and there's a lot that we have to offer here, whether that's looking at the technology that you use to engage with your customers, talking about BPO and labor strategies, or how to use what you have more effectively, really digging into how you can get the biggest bang for your buck, make sure that you're utilizing all the tools available to you well, and getting a good ROI on those technologies and processes. So like I mentioned, things that companies use to engage with their customers, whether that's the contact center, using AI, unified communications, workforce optimization, analytics, those are all areas that we touch on, and we can provide implementation and ongoing high-level top-tier support for many of these platforms. And our customers have great things to say about us. We've got an average CSAT of 99.6%, which so far I've yet to find another company who has that. Additionally, our employees love working here. It's a great company to be at, a high Glassdoor rating and high G2 rating as well. So talking about some of our customers, we're not specific to any vertical. We work across verticals, from tech, real estate, finance, insurance, healthcare. Here's a smattering of some of the companies who have utilized Inflow services in their customer engagement strategies. Like I mentioned, we work with a lot of different technology partners on the core contact center platforms. You see the big names: Genesys, Five9, NICE, Zoom, RingCentral, TalkDesk, Sprinkler, Glia. This is a sampling of the companies that we work with in these realms. There are many more. We've got close to 200 companies that we work with to really help make sure that the solution that you have is paired very well toward your specific needs. Rather than trying to make your business fit into a technology, we want to find the technology that fits your business. And sometimes what we see for your environment is, depending on what you want to do, rather than getting an all-in-one solution, sometimes it makes sense to have a point solution in some of these other areas of the CX ecosystem. And that's something that our consultants can dive into, or really anyone on our account support side, to be able to help align you with the technologies that are going to help you achieve your goals, your objectives. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Seth. Take it away.
All right. Good afternoon / morning, depending on where you're at. I'm looking at the list over there, and I do recognize quite a few of you. My name is Seth. I am from InflowCX, obviously. I've trained quite a few of you, and I also do the TAP program. Our TAP program, our technical account program, is for advancing your system using products like gamification and other things that come along with Genesys to improve your overall business. So I'm going to share my screen today. And what we're looking at right now is the activity page for an agent when you have CX3 license type or you are using a CX with the WEM package added to it. You can do it either way. This is their activity page. So it's going to show you evaluations due, coaching appointments. But we also have our scorecard summary, which deals with gamification. I can see my performance, my 13-week trends, and even my 4-week trends as an agent. At the bottom, I can even see my personal best. The thing I love about gamification is it's tying all of your information into one usable spot, but it also motivates your agents in a positive way. By being able to see their stats and be competitive, it changes the narrative on trying to help them versus me nagging them or picking at them. It's them motivating themselves. I call gamification a behavior modifier. So when they can see it, they change it organically instead of you having to point it out to them constantly. On the left-hand side is my schedule for workforce management. If you're using that, that does tie into our gamification profiles also. I do have a drop-down. This is a newer feature for the supervisor view. This is the supervisor view for activities. It does have real-time adherence for your WFM, but it also has insight summary. This is going to show your best performer and your lowest. I don't have one because it's just me competing with myself. But I can't even see it in a graph format here, which is going to take me to my insights for this agent, or I can give them recognition. I'll show you a couple different places that you can actually do recognition. What happens when you select that, it won't let me do it because it's me. It actually shows up across their activity page with the recognition across the top of the banner to say, hey, you're doing a great job, way to step it up. I can even change the insights here, the profile I'm looking at, and even the interval. You know, and look at the week and not the month. I only have a default profile here, and we'll show how to set that up, but you can have multiples, and you can even toggle between those. So I want to do it by maybe supervisors, or you want to do it by agent type. Because that's something important as we go through to set up is you want them to be competitive with people that do the same kind of job, so it is fair. Below that, we do have learning performance, coaching performance. Those are all other great features on the system. When I go over to the Insights button as a supervisor, it's going to show me my agents and how they're doing. As an agent, it's going to show me just how I'm doing. I'll show what that view looks like. Again, I have the profile. I have the time interval. We're looking at week or month. I can even do a stare and compare on multiple months. I can do the profile trends. So it gives me a nice pretty graph here. And I can also set settings here. So percentage of gold, bad, improved, and declined. I can also filter differently. So main value or improvement. So I want to see the most improved at the top. I can see that. So I can see the movement of my agents. This is showing me the different metrics I have set for this profile. These are actually the defaults. So overall average, call transfer ratio, average hold, punctuality, which actually deals with workforce management, but I will show you where they can even see how they're doing there and gathering points for going on queue and off queue at the right times. I have my after call work ratio and my average handle time. When I'm looking at this, you can see last month, this month, and my improvements for those. So I get a really good clear look at my agents and what they're doing, and to put all the agents in this profile in one place so I can see them against each other. If I hover over top of my name, I do have the option to send a recognition. I can assign a coaching appointment. I can assign a module. Coaching appointments and modules are the other side of evaluations where I can help them learn. I can give them time to learn. Also, a lot of people don't realize there are default modules for being an agent within Genesys or being a supervisor within Genesys. They're quick videos you can watch, and you can even track those. I also have interactions, which would take me to the interactions page of this agent. And the last one is the profile. I could go view their profile. I'm going to show you a couple of different places that you can view the stats for gamification. This is just one of them, and it's very easy because it's my landing page. Next up, we have the scorecard. This is my actual scorecard as an agent. You can see monthly attendance, and down here we have punctuality. This is showing, based on my punctuality for the day, the points I'm gathering throughout that day. And I can see my schedule here. So no points in these ranges, but I did get 22 points here. So it is automatically tracking their punctuality or their schedule movements within gamification. I will show you can also set up conformance as a metric, and I'm a real big fan of conformance. Conformance is how much time they spend on queue versus how much time they were actually scheduled to be on queue. And so it's a great metric to go by. I can see my daily points. I can scroll down and see all of my different points for my different metrics and even my improvements. This is what your agents see. They also see their leaderboards. And this is very, very important because this is where you're holding them accountable in a fun way. So they can see on their insights how they're trending. Here, they're seeing how they're competing. And I can do it by today, yesterday, this week, last week, this month. I can even choose a time period. I can also do it by metric. So I want to see total points, or I just want to see who's my best after call time ratio. So I can kind of dig into it, and they can do the same thing. I was talking with a customer beginning of this week that we deployed gamification, or we talked about it, and they set it up 3 weeks ago. And he said it's amazing how much it's improved, but also how much they like using it. They're still looking at stats. We're still saying, you do your job, you need to step up, you need to improve, but making it fun changes the dynamic of how they feel about what's happening. So first, second, third, even if you're not first, second, or third, nobody wants to be last on a leaderboard. So again, it's holding them accountable in that fun way. He was just really blown away how much they actually liked it. He knew he would love the information he got back from it and how it would motivate him, but he was just really shocked at how much they actually enjoyed it and how much fun they were having with it. Next up, you have your schedules and your work plans, which are for WFM. You also can go to your performance and workspace views to view information about gamification. So right now I'm looking at my information. So I went to an agent performance and I found myself. I could also come in here and I can view it for multiples. So when I'm looking at multiple agents, I can look at the insights for those agents. I can also look at the leaderboards. When I go into the agent themselves, I'm going to get a clearer look on what they're actually doing. So if I go into their insights, this is just for Seth, and this is what an agent actually sees. So instead of seeing the trends of everybody, they're seeing their trends. They can even use the little graph, see in pretty pictures. I can also look at their scorecard. And again, I can see how they're actually doing. Next that is development. Development, again, is your modules and your coaching appointments and features I really, really like. Going back to the insights, I can do shareable link, but I also have a drop down. I have follow-up, send recognition, schedule coaching, assign learning, and send a message as if you're using the instant messaging inside of Genesys. So a lot of things you can do in here. Again, sending recognitions is going to show up on their activity page of the message that you sent. Way to go, you're really improving. The coaching appointment I can set up if they're struggling. When you set up a coaching appointment, I can name it, and I can choose to be self-facilitated or not, or have somebody help them out with it. In here has the description, and this is showing their information. I can even do a shareable link. So the viewability is really important for gamification. So what you have access to see and what agents have access to see. But how do I set it up? When you go to your administration page by selecting admin, if you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see performance and engagement. Development and feedback is for creating your modules, again, learning modules. And then below that, you have your external metrics definitions. You can pull in third-party information into your gamification profiles. I have one customer that is doing it for survey results from another product. I have another one that's doing monetary because they do sales. So it actually, how much they're actually closing. I've had ones that do it for tickets closed within a CRM. So you're not just stuck with the metrics that are within the system. We can pull from the outside world. The great thing about Genesys is they made it really easy. They even give you a link. It says your own API connection. When I select that, it's going to open up the developer section with all of the gamification APIs. As soon as this decides to load all the way up. And it has all the gets, patches, deletes, all the different API settings in here. If you guys ever need help with that, we do have resources. Our engineers do not do API work. We do the data action part where it connects to the system, but we do have resources internally through acquisitions and some outside sources that we can always leverage if you guys need help with this. I like this because they made it real easy to find. You want to understand the APIs, it's just a button you click within the external metrics definition. And like I said, I've seen it used with quite a few products to pull in information from CRMs, mostly CRMs, but we could do it from other products too. Below that, we have the gamification settings. These are the default settings. So turning it on, I can even do default membership. And then you have actions. This is where I can have a start and end date for the personal bests. This is so you can make it fair. When they initially rolled this program out, it was indefinite. That's not really fair if Seth has been an agent for 2.5 years and Susie's been an agent for 2 months. There's certain status she's just not going to catch up on. So we can make it fair, say we're going to restart every 3 months. I have customers that give pizza parties, or they say, hey, the person that, first, second, third receive other awards at the end of that 3 months. Below that, we have our actual gamification profiles. And you can create multiple profiles. And I suggest that you do that because if you have different kinds of agents, you want them competing in against the same kind of agent. You want it to be fair, like sales and customer service are very different. Also, the metrics you want to grade on are going to be different. Even if they're the same metric, the actual goals could be different. When you select new profile, I can come in, I can name the profile. I can put the description. You have the division because it is division aware and the reporting intervals, and I could change those. Then you have the leaderboards. They start off at 300, but you can drop it down. So if I only have 100 agents, I can put it 100. Maybe I have 50, I want to put it 100 so we can have growth. I'm not going to create a test one here just because you cannot delete these. You can make them inactive. You just don't delete them. So I'm going to use the default program. Once I've set up the parameters of the program, so reporting intervals, leaderboards, I now have the metrics that I want to display or grade them on. The metrics here are just default. You can see punctuality is already there. It's already a part of it. Call transfer ratio, average hold, after call time ratio, average handle time. Now for each one of these, they're already set, but I can change them. So I go to average handle time. I'm going to have my objectives. So objectives are the points. And you want to set this correctly. And I can do different objectives have different metrics. So this one's done in seconds. If I was doing interactions per hour, that would be a number. When you're looking at other ones, it's a percent. Like detecting a topic is a percentage. I can't come in here and say I want to see it in minutes because it makes it a little easier to see. Depending on, again, on the group that you're grading, you want to make sure these actually make sense. So good performance is 8 to 10 minutes. Target is 5 to 8 minutes. Good performance is 1 to 5. Below 1 minute and above 10 are out of bounds. I can also adjust the points that they're getting. When they have 2 point sections, it just means at the higher end, you're going to get 125, the lower end, you're going to get 250, because this is our target. So the closer we are, the more points that you get. So think about your agents that are assigned to this profile and achievable goals, but also where you want them to actually be. You can also set on the details. I can choose the media type for this metric. I can choose the direction of this metric, and I can also choose the queue. So we're only looking at one queue or two queues. When I say create metric, this is where I'm going to get the list of all of the different metrics I actually have access to use. If you use the external metrics definition, you will have a dropdown that'll show that metric here also. When I use the dropdown, I have after call work time ratio, average after call work, average handle, average hold, average talk time, call transfer ratio, and then conformance. I talked about conformance a little earlier because it's a stat I'm a really big fan of. So punctuality is based off of their schedule. Did you go on break at the right time? Did you go on meal, on cue, etc. The problem is that adherence targets are great, but sometimes they don't show the full picture. If an agent gets off a call 5 minutes late and then takes their lunch and it comes back 5 minutes late, they just got dinged on their punctuality. Now, there are ways of fixing that, but that doesn't always necessarily happen. Conformance is strictly based off of the amount of time that agent was scheduled for the day and the amount of time they actually were on queue. So that doesn't seem to, it doesn't get hit as hard when the movement happens on their schedule, because as long as they did their 7 hours that they were supposed to be on queue, they're going to have a high conformance score. I've actually seen conformance scores of 150% because they stand on queue much longer than they were supposed to. I like conformance because it means you're doing your job. You're helping out as much as possible. It's not just driven by a schedule, but me working as hard as I can. Again, I do have the objectives here. This is a percent. So we're looking at 90, 75, and 60. I can change those. I can also name this other things. So it says conformance by default, but your agents might not understand what that means. So you can call it whatever you want to make it understandable for your agents. And that applies to any one of them. Next, we're going to talk about is detect topic. This is a very popular feature. I have a lot of discussions with customers about transcription, topic detection. It's not as simple as you just turn it on and we go. It will work, but how well it works, we need to go in, we need to massage it, we need to make sure our topics are usable. That's something I preach all the time is I'm a bigger fan of smaller topics that are more precise. I have a customer that is the one that's doing the sales, and they actually have a topic that's called sales. And they do change the topic phrases all the time to update them with the new sales initiatives. But their salesmen are, it's listening for that topic and actually giving them points on how much they're actually talking about those sales initiatives. But to do that, we had to be very, very specific on what it was listening for, where it was listening for, and all the different variants it could hear so it could pick it up enough to actually accurately score them. Again, I can do media type. A lot of people don't know that topics are not just for voice. Topics are for digital media, etc. Then you have direction, and again, I can choose queue. Again, I want to point at the right place so we're gathering the right information for the people that are applied to this profile. Like I said, topic detection is a big one. They've just added recently, last month, a few really cool features to topic detection. And if you're ever watching your release notes, there's always something in there every week about refining topic detection, adding new languages, etc. You can also even detect for what they call empathy now. I also have hold time ratio, interactions per hour, interaction answer ratio, number of interactions answered, number of transfers, and then the quality evaluation score. This just came out a couple months ago where they added it in. Really excited about that because you've always been able to see their score, but now we're not going to be able to show them their score, but give them points for it. If you are over 80%, you're going to get more points than if you're between 50 and 80%. And again, you can come in here and massage that. Maybe 85 is the target or 95 is the target. I can even choose what form this is related to. So this relates to this form. You could even have multiple metrics for quality evaluation score for multiple forms because you use multiple forms within that queue environment that's tied to this profile. And then we have total talk time. Once we set the metrics that we want to grade on, we need to add in our members. If I come in and look at members here, you can see all the members that are added in on my team. I can say add member. I can do it by agent and just type their name in. I can also do it by queue, so I can add it in. Nice thing about that is when you're doing by queue, somebody gets added to that queue, it says, oh, oops, that's part of this queue. Let's add them in. You can do it by group. If you're a customer that's using Skim or assigning roles based off of group, this is a great feature because usually you're grouping those people together for a reason, which means I'm adding them for my CSRs. They automatically show up in the CSRs profile. And you have the option for management unit. Management unit is a workforce management group for agents. So again, if I add somebody to that management unit, it says, oh, look, Seth's a part of the management unit. He should be a part of this profile. Just makes it easy to assign. If any of those of you that have been on trainings with me before, I cannot stress enough that this button right here is your friend. This is your help button. It will talk about profiles, setting it up. And you also have the option to go to the resource center. You're going to see a lot of changes with this, especially between now, probably the end of this year, beginning of next year, because it's a big push in the industry. And it's also very effective because you're wrapping your arms around all of your metrics in one place and you're showing it to the agents in a way that they can digest and take action with. I know we only have about 4 minutes left, so I do want to make sure that we get time to answer any questions you guys have after going through that. If you are a customer of ours and you're part of the TAP program, please let me know if you are interested in setting up some more time for this. If you're not, please sign up for TAP. But I'm going to stop sharing and open it up for any questions. Let's see here in the chat. Got any questions in here? Anybody wants to? Yeah. Yes, Wendy. There we go. Evaluation for, is there a difference besides the weighting between points versus scaled points? Oh, scaling is when you're making one area just more important on the grading portion of it. So it's going to show your percentages. So I can just bump them up without actually changing the points themselves. It's just how it's weighting it out. Versus when you put the points, that's looking at your overall average based strictly on points, not weight. So weighting just kind of lopsides it, says we're going to make these more important without having to change the actual point scale. Other questions? We can create a manual evaluation form from metrics not available in Genesys. Is there a way to add evaluations for an agent and not an interaction? So you're talking about where it actually has no interaction assigned to it. It's just you grading the agent. Is that what you're asking for? Because currently there is not one. It has to be tied to an interaction. But you can tie multiples to an interaction if you want to. But you just can't do it without one currently. The gamification profiles is kind of like that because you are grading on a lot of different metrics organically without having to use an evaluation form. Those are good questions. Other questions? We have about a minute yet left here. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. It's always a privilege talking to some of you and seeing some of your names. Again, if you're part of the TAP program, reach out if you want more time. If you're not, please sign up for it. It's a great program. You get to have meetings with us every month, a dedicated engineer to kind of help you move your system forward and have conversations about the new features. There's a lot of new features we're reporting if you haven't looked at those, and along with gamification, WFM.
Thank you, Seth.
Everybody.
Appreciate it. And I do want to call out, while today we focused on the InflowCX offerings around the contact center. You'll notice Inflow is part of Amplix now. Amplix specializes in IT services, mobility, security, network, anything related to your traditional, typical IT stack. We have resources available to help with any of those types of projects as well, from engineers to consultants. So if that's an area where you need some additional help or you have interest in that, please reach out to us about that as well. Thank you, everyone.